Today we celebrate the feast of the Holy Cross, the triumph of the Holy Cross. When we celebrate this feast today, let us try to ponder over the cross. What happened on the cross? And what can be learned from the cross? From the cross, we can learn so many things. The wisdom and the power of God, the suffering and the love of God. Jesus died on the cross and He saved us. As it is written in today's Gospel, God loved the world so much that He gave His only Son so that everyone who believes in Him may not be lost but may have eternal life. So we find God's love on the cross. He gave His only Son. Giving His Son means He sacrificed His Son to save the world. Those who believe in Him, they will have eternal life. So, what was the cause or the reason that Jesus took up the cross? Jesus died on the cross. The reason is the first human beings, the first parents committed sin. As we know in the book of Genesis, they committed sin, the sin of disobedience. They did not listen to God's command. Then what happened? Death entered into the world. God created the human beings to live forever, to live with God, to love God, to serve God, to worship God, to glorify God. But it was lost by committing sin. So now God sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to save from sin and death. So that is what Jesus came into this world to save us, dying on the cross. But He saved us by His death, by His suffering, by His passion, showing His love, forgiveness, compassion to the people. So that is what, being Christians, it is not easy to understand the salvation history of God. Jesus said to His disciples and to the people in Mark Gospel chapter 8, verse 34 onwards, if you want to become my disciples, if you want to follow me, take up your cross and follow me. So, Jesus is telling, take up your cross. As I took up the cross of God, you must take up your own cross. You have your own limitations, suffering, sicknesses, pain, persecutions. So you have to take up your cross and follow me. Unless you deny yourself, you cannot gain the life, Jesus said. So we heard in the second reading from the letter of St. Paul, to the Philippians, he emptied himself and God raised him up. Although he was with God, he did not count equality with God, but he emptied himself. So being God, being the Son of God, being human, being divine, he emptied himself. So we find their humility. Then God raised him up. So when Jesus died on the cross, he emptied everything. So today, what can we empty ourselves? If we empty, God will raise us. So what are the things we have to empty today? Our greed, jealousy, hatred, all the evil ways of life, gossiping. We have to empty ourselves. Then only God can raise us. So when we celebrate today this feast, let us try to look into our hearts and minds where we can empty ourselves so that God can raise us. And in every Mass, we experience the presence of Jesus. Today, there are so many congregations, they are celebrating their feast day, their congregation day, foundation day. May the good Lord bless them all and bless us all on this day, that we may always follow Jesus. We may always try to understand the mystery of the cross in our life. Once Pope Francis commented recently, even today we don't know the sign of the cross. We don't teach our children the sign of the cross. When they come into the church, simply they sit down. Before every prayer, we make the sign of the cross. Before starting the Mass, we make the sign of the cross. Before ending the Mass, we make with the sign of the cross. The sign of the cross is marking the salvation of our God. So let us pray always that we may always with Jesus and follow Him, taking up our own cross.